They told us she was kissed awake by love, but the old stories whisper she was never meant to wake at all. Welcome, mystic seekers. Tonight, we drift beyond the rose-tinted dream Disney painted for us into the shadows of a tale that once warned humanity about its own corruption. You know her as Sleeping Beauty, the princess blessed by fairies, cursed by a spindle, and rescued by love's first kiss. But that, my friends, is the story the light remembers. The truth sleeps deeper, buried beneath centuries of rewritten morality and forgotten fears. Because before Aurora ever danced in sunlight, she was Talia, the daughter of a king who could not accept death. Was her sleep a blessing or a punishment? And what if the so-called awakening was never meant to save her, but to condemn her? In 17th century Italy, when plague and superstition ruled the night, Giambattista Basile wrote a collection of grim fables called the Pentamerone *. Among them hid the seed of Sleeping Beauty, a story titled Sun, Moon, and Talia *. In Basile's version, a young princess named Talia pricks her finger not on a spindle, but on a splinter of flax. She collapses, lifeless, silent, unmoving. Her father cannot bear her death. He orders her body placed on a velvet throne, surrounded by riches, candles, and the illusion of life. Years later, a passing king finds her sleeping body. Entranced, he enters the castle. He does not awaken her, but takes what he wants from her, silence. When he leaves, Talia remains asleep until she gives birth to twins, *Sun, and *Moon, This is the original Sleeping Beauty, a tale not of romance, but of violation. Basile's story was a reflection of its time, a warning cloaked as a fantasy. Women, even noble ones, were often treated as property, their beauty preserved, their voices silenced. In this version, sleep was not a spell, it was possession, and innocence was the price of being admired. But that was only the beginning. A century later, French court storyteller Charles Perrault retold Talia's tragedy as the Sleeping Beauty in the Wood. It was the age of salons, powdered wigs, and royal masks, and tales were rewritten to entertain the nobility. Perrault softened the cruelty, turning the king into a prince and the assault into a kiss. The sleep became enchantment, the awakening destiny. But Perrault's happily ever after hid another horror. After their marriage, the prince's mother, an ogress, tries to eat the princess and her children. The cannibal mother is not random. She is hunger incarnate, a metaphor for the aristocracy consuming its own purity to survive. The story had changed costumes, but its shadow remained, the devouring of innocence for the sake of control. In Perrault's polite world, evil no longer came from men, but from women, the mother, the witch, the other. A convenient shift in guilt. But even then, one question lingered. Why must beauty always sleep? And why must she be awakened by someone else *? When the Brothers Grimm rewrote the tale in Dornröschen or Little Briar Rose, Europe was haunted by its own revolutions. Innocence was no longer noble, it was national. The Grimms stripped the tale of its sensual horror and wrapped it in moral purity. The kiss became symbolic, not of desire, but of salvation. The brambles surrounding the castle became divine punishment, meant to protect the maiden from the corruption of men. Yet, those same thorns also kept her trapped. This version became a mirror of the 19th century ideal. Women asleep in virtue, men heroic in awakening them. A perfect fantasy for an age obsessed with control, purity as passivity, and salvation as conquest. But the thorns were always there for a reason, and they cut both ways. By the 1800s, Sleeping Beauty had transcended fairy tale. She became symbol. Victorian artists painted her as an angelic maiden, locked in eternal youth. But behind the lace and lullabies, her story became the ultimate metaphor for repression. A woman preserved in sleep, untouched by time, desire, poured. The perfect ideal for a society terrified of its own instincts. Psychoanalysts would later call this asterisk the virgin dream asterisk, the fantasy of control through purity, where innocence is both desired and destroyed. To keep her asleep was to keep the world safe from awakening. But history never sleeps forever. In 1959, Walt Disney revived Sleeping Beauty in full Technicolor, transforming centuries of horror into an icon of light. Aurora's world shimmered with pastel skies and orchestral magic. Gone were the thorns of pain and consequence. Her curse became a spectacle, her awakening a triumph. But look closer and you'll see the old ghosts behind the gloss. Aurora barely speaks. She exists in less than 18 minutes of the entire film. Her purpose: to sleep, to be found, to be kissed. Disney's version reflects mid-20th century America's longing for purity amid Cold War paranoia, a return to innocence, a fear of feminine agency. The dark fairy, Maleficent, became the embodiment of female rage, the very thing society sought to silence. The spindle was no longer just a curse. It was a metaphor for asterisk curiosity, punished, asterisk. The spindle is more than a tool. It's a symbol of fate, time, and the female cycle. To prick one's finger is to bleed, to transform, to awaken into womanhood. But in the story, that moment of awakening becomes the moment of doom. It's as if the tale itself warns, asterisk, don't grow, don't change, don't bleed, asterisk. Perhaps that's why her sleep lasts 100 years, the length of time needed for the world to forget her humanity and remember her as an ideal. The myth punishes growth with stillness and disguises it as grace. Fairies, those glittering saviors of the tale, are not gentle spirits. In early folklore, they were the asterisk fate weavers, asterisk beings who marked a soul's destiny at birth. They gift beauty and grace, but also curse and consequence. They are nature's indifferent judges, balancing light and dark. The fairies in Sleeping Beauty symbolize the voices of culture itself, each blessing and curse reflecting the duality of expectation. Be beautiful, but not vain. Be pure, but not cold. Be silent, but be loved. In the end, the only fairy who tells the truth is the one called evil, because she refuses to lie about what the world really wants from beauty. The castle overgrown with thorns is not a setting, it's a soul. Every tower, every vine, a frozen heartbeat. Psychologically, the castle represents the mind under repression, dreams looping endlessly, memories trapped behind glass. It's a state of denial, where time no longer moves because the truth cannot be faced. Aurora's awakening, then, is not a rescue. It's an asterisk reckoning, asterisk. The moment when the dream collapses under its own perfection. When the prince kisses Aurora, the world stirs, light floods in, and the music swells. But something is wrong. She opens her eyes, and yet, nothing changes. She is still the girl everyone wanted her to be. The awakening is symbolic of every forced return to normal. The illusion that enlightenment comes from another's touch, not from within. The curse may have lifted, but the control remains. Her voice, her choices, her story, all decided before she even woke. Every culture that retells Sleeping Beauty rewrites the same fear that innocence, once lost, cannot return, and that the only way to preserve it is to never let it awaken. But innocence is not purity. It's awareness before corruption, and it was never meant to last forever. Sleeping Beauty endures because she embodies our obsession with the untouchable, the childlike state we longed for, yet destroy by seeking to possess. She sleeps in art, in culture, in us, every time we choose ignorance over truth.
The enchanted rose, so delicate, so divinant, yet a symbol of obsession. Each petal that falls measures time, but also pressure. The beast's curse cannot be broken unless she loves him in time. The rose is a deadline dressed as destiny, a manipulative countdown, forcing affection through fear of loss. It's not romance, it's coercion cloaked in magic. And the petals keep falling. The magic mirror, show me what I wish to see. A gift, or perhaps a device of control. In the old tales, the mirror is symbolic of omniscience, the gaze that never looks away. Beauty uses it to watch her family, but the beast uses it to watch her. The mirror becomes an eye, a symbol of power disguised as care. It teaches us something chilling. Control often hides behind the language of protection. He never lets her leave without knowing exactly where she'll go. And when she does, he almost dies without her. The beast becomes human when she declares her love. But what does that really mean? Perhaps the transformation isn't his, it's hers. She accepts domination as devotion. She calls her submission salvation. When the curse breaks, it's not freedom, it's normalization. The monster isn't gone. He's simply become acceptable. Villeneuve warned us of this cycle, that power doesn't vanish, it merely changes its face. Across centuries, Beauty and the Beast has been retold as a fable of virtue. But under the surface, it remains a study of female conditioning. The moral is clear: love your captor. See his pain, heal him through submission. Your empathy is your worth. It's the same myth repeated in every age, that women's compassion redeems men's cruelty. That control can be softened by love. But as the original text whispers, what you call love, he calls ownership. And every story that tells women to save the monster forgets to ask why the monster was allowed to exist at all. Today, the story lives on not just in film, but in countless narratives that echo its pattern. The powerful man and the healing woman. The cage made of affection. The illusion that transformation comes from love, not accountability. Villeneuve's warning was prophetic. She saw the danger of romanticizing domination, how easily the beast could hide behind tenderness. Because in every generation, the mask simply changes. The beast becomes a genius, a prince, a tortured soul, and Beauty is told to understand him. But sometimes, understanding is the first step toward surrender.
The spindle, the wound of transformation, the price of curiosity, the thorns boundaries between innocence and experience, the sleep, denial, repression, the illusion of perfection, the kiss, the intrusion of power disguised as love, the castle, the collective unconscious, where history repeats itself. At its heart, Sleeping Beauty is not about a curse, but a cycle. We keep rewriting her tale because we fear what happens when beauty stops sleeping, when purity looks back and asks, who made me this way? Disney told us beauty needed saving. The Grimms told us she needed protecting. But Basile, the first to write her, told us the truth. She was never asleep. She was silenced. The myth of eternal innocence is not about purity preserved. It's about potential suppressed. We've built our kingdoms on the idea that beauty must never awaken, because when she does, she remembers everything we tried to forget. Maybe she was never meant to wake to a kiss. Maybe her awakening is the moment she opens her eyes to the world and refuses to sleep again. If you made it this far, leave a like and subscribe to join our growing circle of mystic seekers. Until next time, stay curious, stay awake, and above all, stay mystical.